And you're ugly. Hi, I'm Blastinus, and this is the Nihilanth. I'm going to be showing off both versions of the Nihilanth in this video because, well, they're pretty short fights and you can just combine them together and make about 20 minutes long, including the ending. So, what is the deal with the Nihilanth? Well, in the original, what he would do is he would send teleporter balls at you and basically send you to one of three locations. One after the other, actually, to be precise. And generally, that would mean that the fight would go on a lot longer, just out of sheer padding, you know? Because, well, we're having to deal with Zen's gravity here, which makes every jump considerably floaty. You're spending, like, at least a couple seconds every jump just getting back down to the floor.
30%. Power 40.
Although it's interesting, the implication here that somehow folks were able to get as far as the Nihilanth and yet still fail. How many HEV guys did the science team send down before we, the chosen one or whatever, came by? As far as mechanically the fight goes, you see these orange orbs circling him? Those are the Nihilanth's health, basically. Every time you do a certain amount of damage, an orb fizzles out and disappears. However,
The truth you can never know.
yes, you saw those yellow crystals on the walls there. Those things will continuously replenish the orange orbs, meaning that in order for us to actually finish the fight, we need to destroy the yellow crystals first. That was not exactly laid out for people. Like, there's actually a degree of ambiguity in everything involving that fight, and I mean, while I knew precisely what was going on because I'd read a guide, it's not something that everyone picked up on. Okay, now yeah. So, priority 1. Destroy the crystals. Pretty simple, really, if you're good at aiming rockets. Any heavy weaponry will destroy them in one shot, so... You know, honestly, I'm not actually that scared of the original ichthyosaur. It moves so stiffly, and it's just like one big, like, noodle. It's not really as terrifying, you know? Even though it can take a whole lot more punishment. Now this chamber here is actually the last one in the cycle. Every time we get teleported from here on out, we're just going to be coming back here. So, well, this is where the fight can get a little bit tedious. Because, yeah, the challenge here is to use the bouncy things in order to get up to the last portal, and these things, well, you've seen them, like even in the enhanced version with Black Mesa, they're still sort of finicky and they don't precisely put you where you want to go. Oh, and don't mess up this jump here. If you don't land in the pool, then you're going to take fall damage, and yeah, 20 health, that is enough to kill you.
30%.
Black Mesa definitely did the right thing by eliminating fall damage, even though, in the process, they also rechanged the fight. They changed around the fight so that there's actually no platforming involved at all, but we'll get to that. By the way, there is this one odd Easter egg. You see that glowy light up on that high platform there? Yeah, if we bounce our way to it, Hey there, fella. How's it hanging? Yeah, he doesn't say anything. I don't even know why he's here. So, back to business. This is actually going to turn out to be a failed run because something unusual is going to happen. And I don't know if this is a problem with Half-Life Source or what, but we'll have to teleport first in order to show you. So here, we're going to be having to face off with the Gargantua, which gives me an opportunity to show something off about Half-Life 1. You see, they weren't always invincible except through set pieces. Although I'm also playing on easy, so they're about as pervious as they can get. Yeah, you see that? That is really, vulnerable. Although, the way the damage reduction worked in the original Half-Life is that it was just basically like a subtraction from a certain number of damage points. So for instance, the grunts, they, oh, watch this. This is really weird. Yeah, if you could tell me what killed me, I'd love to know. So then, on to a take where we actually succeeded. Yeah, so the grunts, with their armor plating, that takes out a flat 20 points of damage if you hit it. So anything that exceeds 20 points can be classified basically as armor piercing. So once the Nihilanth has had all its orbs taken away, what happens next is its head opens up and becomes a vulnerable target. That's your cue to do the last bit of damage and end the fight. It's actually pretty simple, this fight here. Like, you can even, if you're, skilled enough, land on the Nihilanth and just start whacking away at the head from close up. Still though, that's it for this version. It's time to show you something a little bit different. Just a wee bit. Wow, you're even uglier. So this fight actually uses a different principle. Since we've been learning different things throughout the game. In particular, it uses that principle that we learned about the alien controllers shielding themselves using blue crystals. I'm not sure I precisely like what they did with Nihilanth in Black Mesa. Like, instead of him trying to warn us about a man who will deceive us, like, he just is outright more malevolent and honestly a little cartoonishly villainous. Also, he doesn't try to run away, instead he just directly assaults us. And boy, does he ever. I think that overall, like, the Black Mesa version of the Nihilanth fight is a lot more action-packed and exciting, and a lot less frustrating. But at the same time, there's sort of a little something that's missing. Like, in general, I think that Half-Life's themes is that, like, things aren't quite is done in the orthodox manner, and as a result, like, you have to kind of think differently than your average FPS game. maybe I'm just overthinking this, but it does feel like Black Mesa sort of like standardized the usual FPS tropes. Like, you know, give a big glowy target for people to shoot at, have the bad guy use like telegraphed attacks that you can dodge away from. Yeah, like he says the same things, and oh yeah, that's a car. But because he says them in a lot more growly and malevolent manner, it doesn't really sound like a warning so much as him just almost taunting the player. So yes, our next priority is getting through this kind of beehive of his. It's not too hard, like our heavy weaponry can carve through it pretty easily, but he's going to add a few wrinkles once his health goes down. You might have seen it, by the way, but yeah, like bits of the facility are being teleported in and just dropped on the battlefield. And once you do enough damage, his yellow crystals come up again, and you have to do basically the same thing as you did in the original Half-Life 1. Destroy them so he can't regenerate. But they make it a little bit clearer by drawing these nice yellow lines. And of course, there's an achievement if you can manage to destroy all 3 of the yellow crystals at once. That's done with satchel charges, like you have to set them out ahead of time, basically. And here's where things start to get a little bit nuts. I stopped counting how many phases there are in this fight, but this is definitely a new one. Yeah, like he'll lock onto you and start firing like giant lasers, like he'll start sending these rings rolling across the battlefield, like his line-shaped lasers will just start sweeping down in like a dozen different variations. And of course the carpet bombing, can't forget the carpet bombing. Like this fight is a lot more straightforward, but it is by no means simple. You have to basically be constantly on the move thanks to your, like, long jumping. Alrighty, here we are in the last phase. His head's gonna open up, and we have to shoot the crystal in the back of his head in order to succeed. Easy peasy. And that's it. We're now going to be heading into the ending, and we're going to be learning a number of interesting revelations, so I'll see you pretty shortly, I guess.
Gordon Freeman in the flesh. Or rather, in the hazard suit. I took the liberty of relieving you of your weapons. Most of them were government property. As for the suit, I think you've earned it. The border world, Zen, is in our control. For the time being, thanks to you. Quite a nasty piece of work you managed over there. I am impressed. That's why I'm here, Mr. Freeman. I have recommended your services to my employers, and they have authorized me to offer you a job. They agree with me that you have limitless potential. You've proved yourself a decisive man, so I don't expect you'll have any trouble deciding what to do. If you're interested, just step into the portal and I will take that as a yes. Otherwise, well, I can offer you a battle you have no chance of winning. Rather an anticlimax after what you've just survived.
Nah.
To choose.
I mean, we fought through impossible odds before. I'm sure we can manage.
It's time to choose. Well, it looks like we won't be working together. No regrets, Mr. Freeman.
Alrighty, I think I might need more of the crowbar to deal with that. Yeah, I guess you've twisted my arm, buddy.
Time to choose. Wisely done, Mr. Freeman. I will see you up ahead.
And that's it for Mr. Freeman, at least for now. After the release of Half-Life, Valve actually farmed off the property to a newly created company made out of X3D Realms employees. The company's name is Gearbox Entertainment, or Interactive. And, well, their story's coming up next. As for Black Mesa, as far as a fan remake of the original goes, I honestly think that it mostly works out okay. Like, there is a bit of padding in there. Like, there's some stuff that could have still been cut, and I think it wouldn't have really, like, been a bad thing. But overall, like, I really enjoyed the ride through the game. The original Half-Life was definitely a product of its time in terms of how much they were capable of doing. And I feel like there were certain things where Black Mesa could have just changed the plot or changed the progression and actually just kind of went in their own direction. There are certain things where, like, adhering too closely to how the original went actually sort of makes Black Mesa a little bit more nonsensical because, you know, they try to make everything make more sense, they try to make people seem more human, etc., etc. Like, in the Something Awful thread, one thing that people do mention is that, like, the garbage disposal sequence, that really doesn't make sense when the villains aren't Saturday morning cartoon show villains, but you know what? It's sort of like there are a number of different ways that you could have gotten someone to the waste disposal plant. Like, heck, you could even have started us, like, on a conveyor belt leading to one of the, like, crusher things instead, which would have sort of gotten us there faster. And also, been a bit more of an obvious death trap. But you know, overall though, like, it was a very good project. And I really appreciate the work that was done on it. There are actually other projects that are in play right now, like in production, in order to emulate the rest of the Half-Life 1 games in the Black Mesa style. You've got peer review in order to remake the Half-Life Decay mod for the PS2 port. You've got Guard Duty and Operation Black Mesa in order to do Blue Shift and Opposing Force. And yeah, I wish those projects a lot of luck, because yeah, trying to bring the games from the 90s and early 2000s up into the modern day, yeah, that could be very, very fun. I look forward to seeing in the next year or two how they shake out. So, the next one I'm going to be actually doing is Blue Shift, not Opposing Force. So, I hope to see you guys then. See ya.